So we say Happy Moon Day. Today we're going to do some fun ones. Today we're going to talk about organic wine. This shall be a great one. And then we're going to also talk about the whole parasite thing. You know, this whole thing of the exploding parasites, and it's you can't eat berries and fruits and spinach and whatever other nonsense. So we're going to talk about that today. And I've actually got a list of topics. We're going to go through foam rolling today too. I don't know if you guys ever got into foam rolling. We're going to talk about that too. We got a lot of things to talk about. Maybe some bulbs too, right? Maybe talk about little bulbs right there, incandescent bulbs. And yeah, I got a whole list of us today. But it's funny, this whole thing, I don't know if you guys saw it on the internet, and I got my little list here today, so we're going to rock through it. And if you guys have questions or anything you want me to hit on, just throw it in here. And if you notice, everything's been fixed. There's no more wires hanging, just so you guys are aware. And then there's a fan. So I won't cook anymore. It's only 110 degrees today, but it's only 97 degrees right now in my place. Only 97. So it won't overheat. I think we should be good, and we're gonna rock and roll today. It's gonna be a great one. We're gonna hit on all types of health things and things like that. But last live got too spicy, and it was cooked in 20 minutes because it was 130 degrees. And people are always asking me, you know, why you're sweating. And it's like, it's 130 degrees. You'd be sweating too if you were talking at 130 degrees. So it's funny. So let's hit on the first one. So the first one is the parasite thing. They're talking about parasites are going to get you if you eat, I think, blackberries, blueberries, and spinach. Now, what they don't tell people is it's not organic blueberries, blackberries, and spinach. There's these interesting loopholes with non-organic versus organic. And in the non-organic loophole, they can actually use a thing called sewage to tap. So they can actually take all the feces and remnants of all the people, put it back into the tap water, and then spray it all over the crops. So when people are like, man, I don't know why I'm not feeling well when I eat non-organic food, that is because there's a thing called sewage to tap. Now, sewage to tap has been passed in like 25 states. Texas, California, New York, Florida, Arizona. I mean, we can go on and on. So what they do is they take the sewage water from the tap or the sewage water and all the feces and all the other things that are in there. They recycle that back into the tap water, and then they let the farmers use that all over. So if you buy organic, you don't have to worry about that. So when people are flushing out their insides, because that's what's happening with this whole parasite thing that they're telling people, you know, the whole parasite nonsense, and they're like, the parasites are going to get you and you need to cook they literally said this, you need to cook your blackberries and cook your raspberries. Like the news and the Muppets are complete Muppets. But the thing is if you go organic, you don't got to worry about any of that. And same thing with the spinach and the leaves. If you buy non-organic spinach and leaves, guess what? They put that sewage to tap right on there. There's also an interesting thing that all the AI data centers, where all the data centers are, all the water that's running off with that sewage to tap, that's also putting onto the crops and onto the food. So yes, that is the combination. So when they're trying to tell you that the parasites is going to get you and all this other nonsense, they're not telling you what's actually been going along, which has actually been going on with farming for a long time here in America. So, all fear, always. And that's why we always talk about growing your own food. And everybody says that's gross. Yes. Well, the government does a lot of gross things, you know. That's kind of what it comes down to. Somebody said, what do you think about frozen meat instead of fresh meat? I'm always about fresh meat. The frozen meat's been changed. And you know how long it's been frozen for, and it's probably freezer burned and everything else. Always go for the fresh. That's what it comes down to. Somebody said they got a nasty virus. You don't get viruses. Viruses are fake. You poisoned yourself. You consume poisons, you put toxins in your body, and you actually develop an illness from that because your body is detoxing. That's it. There's no such things as viruses. Viruses are fake. So let's hit into this one. Let's get into it. This is a juicy one. So organic wine. Now this is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry, if you guys don't know. The wine industry is a billion-dollar industry. Now what most people don't know is that the wine industry lobbied against having any labels on the wine. And what people don't realize is, do you ever notice how there's no ingredients? It just says wine. That's it. Well, the wine industry lobbied so that you wouldn't find out that they're coating all of the bottles of wine with sulfites and putting chemicals inside of them. So what you want to do is when you're looking for wine, you want to find organic wine that is sulfite free. You know why people get a hangover with alcohol and wine? is because all the sulfites and the toxins that they put into it to preserve it. So when you get organic wine, you don't have to worry about that hangover that you're getting. It's because you're poisoning your body with chemicals. And it was funny because there was a documentary called Wine Revealed, which is a 12-hour documentary on wine. And it talked about how people in Italy were living off of organic wine up until the age of 98. 98. So think about that. No water, no nothing, just wine. Organic wine. And the thing is the organic wine is not sprayed with the chemicals and all the toxins and everything that they put all over it. So if you do decide to explore a little bit of wine, and I'm just putting it out there because people have asked, if you do decide to explore it, you should look into organic wine. You should not be putting non-conventional alcohol into your system because it is loaded with toxins, chemicals, sulfites, and all types of preservatives so that it makes you sick. And then once you're sick, guess what you crave? All that garbage fast food that they sell, right? And the real question is, what's even in the fast food? You ever see the movie Soylent Green? That's what's in the fast food. So they sell you a chemical, and then you get sick, and then you have a detox where your body tries to purge it, and then you go and eat garbage. So this is a great one. Just look into organic wine, and you want to find sulfite-free. And this is wild because most of them you'll see, they say contain sulfites. And that's because they put a preservative in there to make it sit on the shelf. And that's why the organic ones, they go quick. So I wanted to hit on this because a lot of people don't realize that, they're like, I had a little bit of alcohol and I feel sick. Well, that is because you had non-organic alcohol that was sprayed with glyphosate, and then you drank a glass of glyphosate and you wonder why you're sick. Right? So it's interesting. And all the organic wine comes from Italy, the best in the world. Best in the world. From the Italians. They know what they're doing. So that's what it comes down to. Let's keep going. So the next one is, why don't you use any air conditioning? Somebody's asked. So normally it's 130 degrees here in Arizona, right? And a lot of people ask, well, you don't use air conditioning while you do these talks? And no, it's not on right now. There's a fan going and all the windows are open and the fresh air is best. And the reason I say that, the reason that air conditioning is not on, is because when you think about it, you're giving yourself artificial air. You're making your body get used to artificial air. And when you get into what air conditioning is, it's the same thing as the fridge, the Freon, right? The Freon is right there. So you have the air conditioning in the fridge. It's a very similar thing. Imagine breathing that the entire time. And this is why people go, oh, I got kind of like a lung issue going on. Because you're breathing Freon the entire time. And that's the air conditioning thing. So what you need to do is get your body adapted to the warmth, right? You've been cold all winter. That's what you've been. And now you have to adapt yourself to the summertime. Now, for me personally, I'll just go for a swim and go sit out there and do a little swim. And that'll cool me down. Or you take a cold shower. Or you go and find a spring and you jump in that spring. But in reality, we do not need the air conditioning system that we currently have with every person. And this is mind-blowing. People move to Arizona and it's, 120, 130 degrees and they just live in air conditioning. It makes no sense. You've had no fresh air at all, and then you just sit out. So you sit in your house and you have air conditioning the entire time. So our body is meant to adapt, and we're meant to be resilient, and that's part of the strength. And that is the part of the body and the part of the human body that is meant to be resilient. So yeah, someone said Freon in the air conditioning system doesn't mix with air. The chemicals are still going through your vents and going through your house and all through all your rooms, and you're breathing in. It's like wearing a mask the entire time and breathing through a mask. So that's, yeah. Somebody said, what is that in Celsius? That's about 52 degrees Celsius, 52 to 55. So that's what it comes down to, And this is the thing. We are resilient human beings. But when we put on all these adapters, right? Fresh chemical air conditioners, all these adapters. And there's someone driving past my house right now with their windows up, air conditioning's, cranking. So if you think about it, your body is getting used to having this air conditioning all the time. And then what happens is when you don't have it, your body is just pretty much like, I can't handle this. And that's why people go hiking, and they can't handle it because they've been sitting in air conditioning all the time, or they've been sitting in the heat. It's just those two things. They are substitutes for what your body is meant to be. Now, if you're cold, you can put on a blanket. If you're warm, if you're cold, you can put on a blanket. If you're warm, go swimming. That's it. Somebody said it's all about tolerance. That's all it is. And I'm used to it. 130 degrees, I can sit here and work out. I've been showing everybody, I've been doing clapping push-ups, working out outside, training, the whole entire thing. It's all just, and this is the funny thing too, is a lot of the people in the fitness world, you know, they can look fit, but they really aren't fit because they can't hike and they can't move and they're not agile. And movement is key, right? When you get used to training in the heat and you get used to training in humidity and everything, right? Right now, it's humid as can be because of monsoon season. But when you get used to training in that, you get stronger. That's what it comes down to. Somebody said, how do you maintain a pool? You can look into this. You can look into copper in the pool. You can look into saltwater cells. And it's pretty fascinating. There's even natural pools where they build a little natural pool next to it, and then they have that to filter out everything. But I don't think we need what we are using in all the pools, right? All the chemicals, all the nonsense, everything that they try to sell to people. I don't think so. Because I've done experiments and I've seen things, and it's nowhere near what we actually think. And also too, think about lakes and ponds. They all stay perfectly fine the whole entire time because that water is spiraling the whole time as it runs through the lake and the pond and the river, and it's just moving, and that's what's keeping the filtration system going. So we don't need much. We definitely don't know. Definitely don't need much. How dry is the climate in Arizona? Well, usually it's like 5% humidity and 130 degrees. Now it's like 30 to 40% humidity, and it's still the same temperature because of the fake monsoon season. Somebody said I don't swim in the chlorine water because of the chemicals. Yes, the chlorine chemicals and all of this, and the pool companies. I guess there's 3 pool companies. That's what I found out. 3 pool companies. And those 3 pool companies own all the chemicals. And chlorine is basically bleach. So they own all the pool companies, and they own all the chemicals. They own all the pool filtration systems. They own everything. Anytime somebody comes around with a different idea, they buy them out. It's a monopoly on the pool system because the pool system is a big industry and they don't want anybody competing with that. So, you know, when you look into all these things with copper and spiraling water, making it move, that's not good for business. Lisa says, how do I get rid of spider veins? I'm going to use some dragon's blood and castor oil on the moles. So excited. This is my first post. Welcome, welcome. As for the spider veins, you can do coconut oil and you can do pearl powder on those spider veins. And those are similar to varicose veins, but you can do a little bit of rubbing that onto the skin, and that can be very good for varicose veins or spider veins. And all that's showing is sometimes is you just kind of need to rub that area too, because your lymphatic system is working really hard, and that the color is starting to show in your veins. Think about it. Like if you start to get more depth in your veins, it's what's happening is the lymphatic system is trying to push things up and down the entire time, the toxins, and move things. But now it's kind of getting clumped up, so then it's starting to show. So what you need to do is you need to move that with some lymphatic massage, but you can also put some pearl and coconut oil on those veins, and you'll start to notice that they'll start to go away. The lymphatic massage will help, and then also that pearl and coconut oil will absorb right into that skin and be very beneficial. So, somebody said pearl powder and coconut oil. Yes, that's what it is. Castor oil you can use as well too, but that will help pull things. Coconut oil is a little more soothing for on the skin. So it just depends. The fun part about coconut oil and castor is you can have fun with it. You can try pearl and coconut, or you can try pearl and castor. Some people work differently. You know, some people, they love castor. Some people, they love coconut. It just depends. Like I love coconut oil. I can cover myself in coconut oil and put it in my hair and use it all over and everything else. So it just depends on the person. Some people, on the other hand, like castor, and they just pour castor all over their face, all over their hair, and they feel great. And they got silky eyelashes and everything else. So it just depends on how you feel. And that's what's cool about these things, is when you make these blends with pearl and coconut and castor and all these, or dragon's blood, whichever, what you want to do is figure out what works best for your skin. That's it. That's all it comes down to. And lymphatic massage, moving everything and getting it all moving. Which we'll hit on that one next, because that's another great one. So a lot of people ask me about inflammation and arthritis and pain. And this is a foam roller. Now you don't need this specific foam roller, but I wanted to show this because this is a perfect tool for inflammation and pain. And what you can do is you can get a foam roller, you could get a baseball, you could get a softball. And what you want to do is you want to put this right behind the neck. And let's say you have neck pain, you're going to lay on this on your back, and you're going to roll on this foam roller, or you're going to roll on a tennis ball, or you're going to roll on a softball. And what happens is you're going to release all that tension. Foam rolling, what it is breaking up the tissue. You got all this toxicity in the tissue, this crystallization in the tissue. And what I'm doing is I'm breaking up that toxicity and that crystallization of the tissue and releasing it. So if you have inflammation, if you have back pain, if you have discs that aren't feeling well in your back, any of that, this can actually be very beneficial. And this feels great right now because I'm giving myself a massage. But this is just a simple solution. You know, and chiropractors do this as well too. This is another great thing. But this is just a simple solution for inflammation. And you can use, like I said, a baseball, a tennis ball, a golf ball. If you want to get really deep, you put a golf ball right into your back and you roll it out. A lot of times when people have shoulder issues, you know, frozen shoulder, you can use a foam roller or a baseball or a tennis ball, and you can put it right into here and open up that shoulder. And it'll open up that tissue. And it's funny because when I used to train people, people used to tell me I tore my shoulder. And I'm like, you didn't tear anything. You just have a lot of tightness. And you never really realize how much tightness you have until you start foam rolling. So what you do is you foam roll, I would say about twice a week. And I would say for about 15 to 30 minutes. And then what you want to do after you do some foam rolling is you better drink some water. Drink some water because you're going to be detoxing a whole bunch of toxins and you're going to be releasing a whole lot of things. And so right then and there, little foam rolling, and then drink a little bit of water and you'll be good to go. And somebody said, how can you do this on the ankles? You can lay on the ground, put this underneath your ankle, and then push each leg's on top, kind of like this. I'll show you. You'll kind of just push your leg on top of there, and then you'll roll that ankle. And you can roll out that whole area. But you can do your neck, you can do your back, you can do your shoulders, you can do your quads, your calves, any single thing that's tight. Because you don't realize how much tightness and tension you have in your body until you start foam rolling. And like I said, you don't have to use this specific one. I'm just giving it as an example because it is just a nice way to open up the tissue and the tension and the tightness. And people were asking, like, how do I get rid of tightness and inflammation? Well, number one, you got to move. And number two, little foam rolling. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. Very, very easy ways to just open up that. And that's the thing. Inflammation is really just the crystallization of your body. You know, when people go, I'm so inflamed, you know, they go, my face is so inflamed, or my hands are so inflamed, or my shoulders, or my neck, or my back is so inflamed. It's the crystallization of all of your ligaments and your tendons and everything that's inside your body. And that crystallization is kind of sending out a wave, and that wave is inflammation. And you go, man, my back hurts, or my shoulder hurts, or my neck hurts. It's sending you a signal. It's trying to tell you that you need to do a little bit of foam rolling, and you need to just kind of roll on there and get rid of that tension. Now, they do have those like massage guns and all those crazy things. I've tried those. Those are like this, you know. they just make you nauseous, you know. And if you want to take it a step further, you could even use a wine glass. Like if you want to use it, because somebody said I just joined for the wine. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that one. But you know, you can use just about anything. You know, you can use anything to foam roll. But what it is like I said, just all that tightness and that crystallization. And that tightness and that crystallization is just messing up, you know, the body. That's what it is. Somebody said, so why does my back go out all the time? Number one, your back might go out because you haven't trained it. Number two, you have weak abductors or abductor muscles. You might have weak abs. You might have a weak posture. You know, your shoulders might be forward all the time. You might sit in a chair. You might be hunched over like this all the time. I mean, I could give you about 1,000,000 reasons that your back could be going out. And think about this. Is when you go to grab something and you go to pick it up, the reason your back goes out is because all the other muscles are weak, so they got to fire, and then you go and pull your back, and then you're frozen, and you're like this, you know. That's pretty much what it is. Somebody said I missed the wine moon day. Give us a permission to have a drink. You can have a drink if you would like to do organic wine with no sulfites during your moon day, have a blast, you know. I like I said, have a blast with it. It's you know, I don't know. We get so crazy and everything's so serious all the time and everything's so crazy all the time. And you have to wonder is, you know, we need a little bit of time of just relaxed and just being chill. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. Somebody said anything about plantar fasciitis. That's actually foam rolling, just so you know. You foam roll your heel of your foot and that will get rid of plantar fasciitis. The reason the plantar fasciitis is there is because your shoes Oh, this is a deep rabbit hole, especially if you're a lady and you wear heels all the time. Your shoes are actually putting your calf into a angle that is really hard on your knee and then shortens the calf and then pulls on that muscle. And then when it pulls on that muscle, it also begins to pull on that curve of the heel, and then that's what causes that plantar fasciitis. So for that one, on the heel, you got to roll out the heels, and they're just getting real tight. And if you're, depending on whatever shoes you're wearing, I wear flat shoes. I have flat grounding shoes. But depending on the shoes that you're wearing, if they have an angle on there, that's messing you up. Think of all your shoes, okay? Just think about it. Like, analyze your shoes. All of them are always on an angle. They're putting you in high heels, like the whole time. Even people running, like think about people running and they're going for a run. Their running shoe is a high heel. They're putting people in high heels. And then they're like, I can't figure out why I got knee pain. As somebody just said it right here. What about knee pain? Knee pain's the exact same thing. So knee pain, you've been put into a shoe that's got a heel on it, like a high heel. Your running shoe is like a high heel, and then you're running the whole time, and you're running through your knee, and then your calf is shortening the entire time, and then you start to get that knee pain. And then you're running on concrete the whole time, right? And then it's just blasting the knee, and then depending on what you're eating, right, that's also creating inflammation. Canola, soy, corn, if you put any of that into your body, that also creates inflammation and crystallizes that area and tightens up all of those muscles, and then you get knee pain. So you can do a little bit of foam rolling on the quads. That's a good one. You can do a little bit of dragon's blood, and then you should also work on doing lunges. You can do lunges. Work on doing lunges. Being able to bend without any shoes on, just naturally doing a lunge, going up and down, lunges, up and down, so that you can train the quad and the glute. Because most likely you got weak glutes. Because you've been running those glutes around the whole entire time, running them off the entire time. You ever see that when people are running? They always kind of got like their glutes are tucked underneath. I'm sure people have seen this. Where people are running and they've got like their glutes are tucked underneath while they're running. Yeah, that's what's happening. You run too much and your glutes are gone. That's why if you look at sprinters, you see sprinters always have developed glutes. But you look at runners, like people who run for 30 miles, I don't know why you do that at 5 a.m., but they usually do that, and then their glutes are gone. Like, it's just, they might have to go purchase those. Those are completely gone. They've been just running their glutes off and whatever else. But the whole situation with your knee is it's the constant wear and tear, it's the inflammation, and it's the shoes at pretty much a heel. And this is how they make running shoes, right? You get all these people like I got running shoes, they're at a angle. They're not flat. And that's why like the old Converse shoes, which people are like, you run in those were flat. Man, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Joanna says running their glutes off. Yeah, that's you always see that, They never have, there's no glute development in a person who runs about 30 miles a day, right? Like that's pretty much the truth. Like think about it. Picture it, go to Google, type in people who run a long time and see if they got glutes. They're gone. It's completely gone because they're just running them away. And that's the thing, because that muscle is not engaging. The glute doesn't need to engage because they're just running the whole time and their quads are just functioning the entire time. And they just keep going on the same muscle. And then they don't train them either too. They don't do bridges. They don't do these exercises, even deadlifts. They don't do these exercises to train the glutes so the glutes just disappear. No gluteus maximus. That's pretty much what it comes down to. What a juicy life today, We talk about wine, parasites, and gluteus maximus. It's kind of hitting on a little bit of everything. Somebody said, is it bad to run outside on concrete? What do you recommend? If you could run on anything, I've been doing a lot of tests on sand. Sand would be probably one of the best things you can run on because of the fact that if you are going to do some sprints, that's all I do. If I'm going to run, I do sprints. But if I am going to run, I'll run on sand. Sand is actually really nice to run on because it's very natural. Now, you might need a little bit of a flatter sole, but you could do it barefoot, depending on what you want to do. But sand is probably the best. It engages every muscle, and it just kind of gets everything going. Versus concrete, remember, you're just crushing your knees. And then on top of it, all the heat on the concrete is just another thing too. Yeah, somebody said Rachel says running on sand or dirt. Yeah, those would be the two best. I forgot, all I see is sand, so I don't see much dirt in Arizona. So, if you want to run on dirt as well, or run through the forest, that's another good one too. You want to run on something natural. because your body is meant to run on that. And people are now all saying gluteus minimus. Yeah, that's pretty much what's happening when people are running too much. You know, they're just they got that gluteus minimus or minimus. That's what it turns into. The Maximus is gone. The Maximus is gone. Somebody said they're running on mud. I like that. There you go. See, and that's the thing. Like, we're meant to do these things on natural things. All this artificial stuff, people on treadmills, right? Like treadmills, you're running on an electric hamster wheel the entire time, being electrocuted. It's goofy, you know? Just run down the street. Run in the sand, run in the forest, run in something that is natural. Somebody said, do you do stretching? If I do any stretching, I'll actually do foam rolling to warm up, or I'll just kind of do some movements. You know, I have some sticks and some like big, huge sticks, like gigantic clubs, and I'll do movements with that if I want to warm up. I think that's the best way to warm up is with movements. If you're stretching, you're trying to relax. So you don't want to relax too much. With foam rolling, you're opening things up and you're making a move. So if you kind of think about it, you're getting the blood flowing to that area and helping the blood flow to the rest of the body. But if you begin to stretch, you are sitting in a stagnant position trying to relax. So if you think about it, if you stretch before you work out, that kind of doesn't really go hand in hand. Now, if you do foam rolling or you do some movement, that kind of goes hand in hand. So I'll do a whole bunch of movement. I'll crawl around on the floor. I'll do some stuff with, I got big clubs. I got all kinds of things, and I'll do all different types of movement. Somebody said all the lights in the gym are terrible. They're fluorescent. Yeah, I mean, all the lights in the gym, unfortunately, nowadays is all LEDs and horrible. I mean, it's between the lights at the gym, between all the people with AirPods, between all the smartwatches and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and you got fake floors and artificial floors, and it's fake. It's fake. I mean, it's crazy because the last time I was in a gym this was like 2 months ago, and that was the first time in 4 years. It feels fake. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's all artificial. The lights are artificial. You're not outside. Like I said, I train, it's 130 degrees outside and I'm working out outside. That is what our body is meant to be. You know, in the fitness world, people got AirPods, they got smartwatches, they're tracking their steps, they're crazy. They're totally crazy. It makes no sense. And it's very artificial because when you're trying to, I get it, you're trying to get to your goals, but when you're doing it in an artificial way with synthetic things and injections and, you know, it's just peptides, TRT. I mean, we can name all the stuff that goes into fitness bodies. It's not really natural, right? That's the thing. And that's why those guys, I hate to say, in the fitness world, they drop pretty quick. They drop young. Because all the stuff they're putting into their body. You know, that's what it comes down to. Somebody said you work out outside with dumbbells or you do calisthenics. Yes, actually. I actually do work out outside, and I have weights, I have kettlebells, I have bands, I got a Bosu ball. I mean, I got everything you can think of, and then I train in my backyard, and I run around up and down the hills, and yeah, do pull-ups, push-ups, weights, deadlifts, cleans, presses, everything. And that's how I train. And I train, and it's hot. Arizona, like I said, it's 130 degrees. Somebody said peptide self-vaxxing. Yeah, people got really mad when I called that one out, right? Because they were like, it's not a vaccine if I put a peptide into my body, if I inject this needle from Pfizer into my body, or from Tel Aviv, right? Because that's who makes the peptides, Tel Aviv and Pfizer. And they're like, it's not a vaccine if I put that into my body. And it's like, don't you remember the pandemic? Don't you remember the vaccine companies that culled off 20% of the population of the world? And you don't think that they would put the same things into those things that they put into the peptides? And people are like, no. It's not like that. I inject myself to be healthy. And it's like, why don't you just eat healthy? Why don't you just work out? Doesn't make any sense. So yeah, the whole peptides is self-vaccinations. And it's just another industry. It sells for the Rothschilds medical system. Because remember, the Rothschilds own every pharmaceutical company, all the raws, everything. They own the whole world, is what it comes down to with the medical system. And then these companies buy the raws from those companies, and they're like, we're not buying it from the vaccination companies and pharmaceutical companies. Yes, you are. That's where the raws come from. It's a monopoly. It's a funny one. It's a funny one. Somebody said, what do you think about protein powder? Protein powder is pasteurized. So you're better off eating raw meat. You're better off eating raw eggs. You're better off eating raw cream, raw milk. Those are the better things to do. The whole protein powder industry is all pasteurized powders. They do the exact same thing that they do to the toxic milk that they sell at the grocery store is the protein powder. And the protein powder is pasteurized. They cook it at about 500 to 600 degrees for like, I think it's 2 hours, and they've now zapped it of all the nutrients. And now you got some powdered food from Bill Gates selling you some powdered food. Eat raw red meat, raw eggs, be like Rocky, or some raw milk. That's all you really need. All the protein powders, even the collagen powders, collagen peptides, or whatever that garbage is, owned by Kellogg's and Kraft, same exact thing, pasteurized. So eat food. Do not support these pharmaceutical companies who are trying to sell you just fake things. Like fake things. That's all it comes down to. It's completely crazy. So crazy. Yeah, people are always trying to replace food, and just eat from food. That's why I always talk about food. We are meant to eat from food. We do not need to eat synthetic things and put the synthetic things into our body. If it doesn't come from nature, we don't put it into our body. It's just that simple. I know that's a really sometimes challenging concept to understand, but if it's not actual food, we don't put it into our body. You know, if I go out in nature, whatever I can find in nature, I'm going to eat. That's it. That's why I talk about superfoods all the time. They're all from nature. If you eat a pearl, you ate a pearl. If you ate shilajit, you ate shilajit right out of the earth. If you ate dragon's blood, you cut the dragon's tree and you get dragon's blood right there. You eat from the earth. You don't eat from a petri dish, because that's what people are eating from. And that's the whole protein thing. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let me see. Somebody said, Matt, besides raw food, do you also eat some fruit? I do eat a little bit of raw fruit, but it just tastes like sugar. I don't know how to explain it. It's like sugar water. I'll do some organic oranges or organic grapefruits, because the grapefruit I feel like is the only bitter one. Any of the bitter fruits I really like. Even pineapple, before it's kind of like even at its point. You know, it's not too sweet, like it's not ripe. That can do. But most of it, I don't know. It just tastes like sugar water. It's like the whole thing with kombucha too. Just selling you sugar water. And sugar messes with your mind and then your emotions. I'll never forget when Ajana said when people eat too much sugar, they get emotional. And I thought, yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that. Excuse me. Let me see. What do we got in here? We got so many people in here. It's a party. It's a totally party. Somebody said, I've been drinking. How will you feel? Let me see. I've been drinking for a week. What? I don't know what you drinking out of uranium? If you're drinking out of uranium, you should feel like a champion. That's what it comes down to. Somebody's talking about peptides. Don't put it in your body. That's it. You don't know what you're putting in your body. Somebody said, like Ajanas, did you stop eating salt? Actually, I still eat some French gray salt. And that's a whole rabbit hole. I've gone down the salt licks. I've gone down the different rock salts, like these different things that are in the mountains that animals seek out, and they'll go and lick. You know, deers will actually find salt licks and they'll lick them. And I'll just do French gray salt. That is the only salt that I will consume, and I don't really do salt like I used to. I used to put salt on everything. Now I just put a little pinch. I know Ajanas was against salt, and he was also against drinking water as well too, because he was saying drinking raw milk. But I've tried those, and here where it's 130 degrees, it's just, I think it's just different. And that's just personally for me. I mean, I tried no salt, I lift a lot, I work out a lot, so that's different. Ajanas was more into walking, he was more into not lifting as much. So that's just a different lifestyle, which is perfectly fine. I totally respect that. And then as for the water thing, you know, he was saying that you can do a lot of raw milk and do that instead. Arizona, it's a little harder to have raw milk all the time. Even if I have my own little baby cows and everything else, it's a little more challenging. So I think it also depends on where you live too, you know? Because if you think about it, he was more on the West Coast, and that is a lot of salt in the air. There's a lot of salt in the ocean too. If you go swimming, that salt is everywhere. So it's a different form of taking in salt, right? You might not need salt because you live on the West Coast and there's salt in the air and you're just tasting it on a regular basis. So you technically could stop. So here in Arizona where it's dry and all I get is sand, sand that's thrown at me daily, that's a different story. So, and like I said, I love his work. He has changed my life eating raw meat and doing this. And I've just taken with what I feel works for me. And that's what I tell people all the time with all of this. Any of this information that I put out there, take it and try it and see how you feel. And just go with that. You know, it's if you want to do what you want to do what you want to do. It's up to you. But I just know for me how much it's helped heal me and how good I feel and how vibrant and strong I feel. I mean, at 40, I feel like I'm 18. I understand. So I take it with what feels best for me and what keeps me at the, 100% or 150%. So, but I just do the French gray salt. I don't really like the Celtic salt is just and then the other salts are just French gray salt seems to be the most natural because it's coming directly out of the ocean and it's just delicious. And also, French gray salt, they do it by hand. So that's a real big one right there. Everything done by hand. Somebody said, does anyone see my comments? Yes, I see all your comments. Everybody's commenting in here all the time, and I'm reading them as fast as I can so that we can respond. But, that just depends because people spam in here too as well. Somebody said, any promo codes for the Pearl Powder? You could use code CE10. CE10 and try the Pearl Powder or Dragon's Blood, Shilajit 6 Mix, Tremella, Lion's Mane, Reishi, Cordyceps, whatever your heart desires. Whatever your heart desires. Whatever superfood you feel calling. But I will tell you, the Pearl Powder is just magical. That Dragon's Blood is magical. And our new Shilajit 88 will just have you doing clapping push-ups. That's what it'll do. Because that is just absolutely remarkable. But on that note, I hope that you guys enjoyed this live. I tried to cover a million things, and I actually got a whole little list right here so that we can hit on things. And just drop any other topics that you want me to hit on in the lives. Because I know I talk about a bunch of things, but if everybody just starts commenting and dropping different ideas that you want me to hit on, I will throw them in here, and we can hit on them and talk about them and explore them. So I love you all. I wish you all a great moon day. This was an epic moon day. We talked about organic wine. We talked about parasites. We talked about foam rolling. And you guys got to get into it. That's all it is. Little things to help elevate your health. So this will go up on that won't go up on YouTube. I'm so used to YouTube because I despise that platform. But this will go up on Telegram. This will go up on Odyssey, Rumble, and Buzzsprout. And I love you all, and I will see you next moon day. And you guys have a beautiful moon day till next time. Go out there, get in the sun, get a juicy tan, and have a beautiful one.